Good evening, everybody. Can I go ahead and call the December 2021 Jacksonville North Pulaski School District regular board meeting to order. Jacksonville North Pulaski School District will be the model district where every learner is valued and empowered to become a successful contributing member of society who will foster a culture of ownership and accountability through partnerships that create multiple pathways for success. Mr. Moore, would you mind calling the roll, please?
Carl Smith.
Here.
Daniel Gray.
Here.
David Cole.
Here.
Jim Moore here. Ron McDaniel.
Present.
Dina, I'm sorry to put Tony on here, so
It's
you'll have to
fine.
answer Dina, Tony.
I'm here, thank you.
Okay. Martin.
Here.
Laura Walker.
Here.
Everyone's here.
All right. If everyone will join me as we stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Well, good evening, everybody. First thing I have on the agenda, Mr. Scott Richardson, legal update. Evening, sir. Good evening. How are you? I'm well.
Gather my things, I'm sorry. Wait, I don't need that. Legal update.
We're green.
You gathered now. All right. So we visited a couple of times about board zoning. And there we go. I think, did that do it? All right, yes. Hold it, look. Board zoning, the need to change a district line or a zone line to confirm with one person, one vote. We talked about some guidance that School Board Association sent out that I disagree with and several other lawyers around the state disagree with, that advise more changes, but I think all we need to do is adjust one boundary, recognize an exemption from the law that requires school districts, once they hit 10% minority enrollment, to make lots of changes. We addressed all that when we first became a school district because we had 10% minority. So I think we're in good shape. We're in compliance with the Voting Rights Act. And I have in your board packet some information about the changes. I made up a short memo, give you some population figures for the district. Should be titled Zone Demographics 2021.
Page 7.
Okay. Page 7 in the packet, thank you. And essentially what you do to adjust for one person, one vote is you take the population of your zones. Well, you take your population, you divide it into however many zones you're going to have. That gets you your average per zone. We have 5 zones. So that means our average or mean population is 7,766. And one person, one vote means you try to get all your zones close to that number as reasonably possible. And so your alternative one divides your zones pretty close to that number, making, as little change as possible to make sure we comply. And so the changes keep us within 5% of the average. That's a 10% range. It's a pretty normal number when you're dealing with one person, one vote. It affects, the one change we need affects zone 2 and zone 4. And that's reflected in the maps that you have. I blew up one map. I wasn't sure. There's a table on the bottom right of your alternative one map. And so I wasn't sure how big that would show up on your copy. So I went and put that table in this memo on zone demographics so you could see those numbers too. for Voting Rights Act purposes, we're essentially looking at how minority and majority populations relate. I think we have a good spread. We don't, and we have good representation in each. So I just really don't think there's any argument we have any problems with the Voting Rights Act. But it also shows how they're pretty evenly distributed. In your packet also is a resolution that I drafted for you that is similar to what other districts use to pass their redistricting. And all I need tonight is a vote on the resolution. We pass that, and I will ask your board president and secretary to sign it. Then I'll pass that on to the County Board of Election Commissioners to let them know of the change that we've made on board zones. And after tonight, you should be done dealing with redistricting for another 10 years.
Okay. Questions? Thoughts? Motion?
So moved.
All right.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to adopt the resolution as presented with one minor correction. Got Little Rock School District in that.
Oh, no.
Just need to fix that.
Oh, I'd call them all. I'll fix that.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed? All right, that passes unanimously.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir, appreciate you. All righty. Moving right along. Facilities update. Dr. Stein? Russ? Matthew?
Who's next up?
Where's Tony? Where's Tony been?
TC
TC.
retired.
TC retired.
He's retired, yeah.
When did that happen? I didn't get the memo.
I'll have to ask him, I don't know.
Right now, yeah, Tony did retire.
Really?
He retired about 2 months ago.
Well, I'll have to give him a call.
It's Jason, right?
Yes,
I'll
sir.
let Jason give an update on the
Okay.
construction and then,
I think I'm on here. So for the Jacksonville Elementary School, the interior is, practically complete. We've got small punch list items, the majority of which have been addressed. We've got a couple pieces of replacement glass we're having some supply chain issues with, but we keep getting told that it's a week out, a week out, a week out. But very minor stuff. Everything inside, like I said, we've been going through, back checking our punch list, making sure that everything's complete and up to standards. The city has completed the water utility work out on Linda Lane. So we're now able to proceed with finishing up the parent loop through there. We've got guys on site now. They're kind of redressing some of the gravel that's there, getting the sediment out of it. They'll bring in more gravel, and I don't know the exact date the asphalt pavers are going to be there, but that's the next thing on our agenda. We'll be shooting for the final inspections for everything on 12/17, and we don't see any reason that we won't be accepted. So things are progressing really well. We're really close to wrapping it up, and we just got to get this exterior stuff finished.
Good deal. Questions?
Remind me the movement day.
They're already moving in.
They
All
are,
right,
okay.
we've got a temporary CO just for teachers.
Correct. We have all of the school's furniture as far as Verco stuff is installed. It's in the rooms. And then we have brought in the teachers' personal items from the 2 other schools, and we have all those in the rooms as well. So, like I said, we're moving along pretty good with it.
Starting today, Mrs. Turner, and I thought I saw her, she's here back there. Mrs. Turner has allowed the teachers to come in 2-hour increments to unpack their rooms and settle in. So when we return in January, the teachers will already be settled and ready to receive our scholars at the new school.
Will there be an open house for parents before first day of school in January?
Yes.
Yes, sir. We're planning on scheduling, I'm just my week 15 is gonna, I believe the 13th or 14th. I'm sorry, 3rd or 4th of January.
Before the scholars return.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So are we allowed to swing by and walk through?
That's, Dr. Stein is gonna bring that up.
Okay, I'll be quick. Is it still on?
It's on, but it's low.
So for the next two elementaries we're working on, Taylor and biometer replacement, we are working on those. We're holding back a little bit because we're waiting on the final student count numbers, which Taylor, I think, will be finalized next week. Dr. Stein can speak to that. And then biometer a little bit later. But we're getting civil surveys for Taylor. Haven't heard yet about biometer, but
Working on that.
okay. So yeah, they're in the works. We'll probably be ready to come back maybe the January meeting after we get these numbers next week for Taylor and kind of give y'all a first pass showing of what we've done.
While we're on the biometer topic, I've got a contract and I think we've got a verbal agreement with the owner. I received the survey or the, I don't know what you call that.
The boundary
approximation
survey.
of what we want for the site. The owner's actually taken some old surveys to Mr. Bond. He's emailed me asking if it's okay for them to go ahead and start the survey. And I need to forward that to you. That's not for me to say go ahead, that's for you to say go ahead. So if you'll reach out to Mr. Bond, we'll kind of have that stuff going. But we should have, hopefully by the next meeting, we'll be voting on the contract for biometer plan.
Perfect. That's all I've got.
Thank you. Evening, sir.
Good to see you guys. So a month ago, I said we needed doing the master plan meeting. So I guess I spoke a little soon. So we will learn next Tuesday of the Taylor status. We submitted the application and the state inspected it last month. Our inspection went very well. They seemed as if they saw some new facts, I guess. So we'll learn next Tuesday if we're approved or not. And so again, knowing that though, it's still a year away as far as learning of any money though in May for the following year. Money. So we'll have the actual master plan meeting next school board meeting. Yeah. And mentioning tour of the schools, so we need scheduling some time you're available for the tour.
Dina's ready tomorrow.
We wanted to take the group as a whole on the tour, but be considerate of work schedules. And so I asked Dr. Stein to mention it tonight during his facilities report to see when everyone is available so that we can schedule that tour, because we'll ask our partners from Baldwin, Shell, and WER to join us in case you have any questions.
What's everybody's availability?
I'm flexible.
I'm flexible.
Are we talking before Christmas or after?
We would prefer before Christmas because,
About 10 tomorrow morning.
so this week or next week?
Okay, I mean,
Are y'all available this week?
Mr. Cole?
Next week is better for me. The 15th is not a good day.
I was gonna say just not the 15th.
Next week. Not this week.
I did.
How about next Tuesday, the 14th? Is morning better? Morning, 10 a.m. on 14th?
Yes.
Does that work?
well, it's not an open house, it's just
It's just a board tour.
Are we doing the ribbon
a
cutting?
tour.
No,
But that's in January.
It's just a school board tour.
Dr. Stein, we have the early project review on that day, at that time.
Yes.
So, well, we need to be there, so.
As far as your tour, you wouldn't need me there.
how long do y'all?
So 10 a.m. on December 4th, Tuesday, December 14th.
Would you rather push it earlier so you can be there?
Mr. Lester, I'm sure will be available. Mr. Lester and Dr.
I will make sure that I'm able.
So we're good. 10 a.m. Tuesday, December 14th.
There it is. Anything else? Any questions for Dr. Stein?
I got one question on my curiosity. Did you say that we had funds for the expansion of the Jacksonville Middle School, or did I dream that? Available now?
So yes and no. We actually do have funds available. We actually need state approval. And so we're still waiting on just a motion really, I guess, allowing us, sending in that pre-approval.
Okay. So the phase 2, the expansion for classroom size is an allowable expense with ESSER funds. But because of the desegregation case, we want to make sure that we received approval from Judge Marshall. So Mr. Richardson has submitted that motion, and we're waiting to hear from Judge Marshall if that's an allowable decision, or if we can move forward with it.
Okay. That answers my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
Yes, sir. All right. That's everything on facilities, right? All right, next item we've got is our reports, and Dr. Orr.
Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. We definitely are excited about the report because we have some recognition. And so I first want to recognize Colonel Vern Smith and Mrs. Terry Williams for their presentation.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Hello, everyone. As you know, we have done this before. We are going to once again recognize a couple of schools for the Purple Star Award. And again, we want to show our appreciation for the dedication with just showing your love for the military child, not only all the students, but especially for the sacrifices that our military child shows. So with our Military Interstate Children's Compact, the State Council, and Little Rock Air Force Base, we want to say thank you. And if you want to come up, we have 2 Purple Star School banners. So who would you like to invite up first, Dr. Walker?
Let's start by here.
Okay, we can start with Tommy. Come on up. And who's going to come in for the picture? Let's all come in. Okay. Let's everybody come in.
Please watch the water.
Okay. One day.
Daniel, this is very
Go
close
look
to
in the
front.
front.
Come on.
Yes,
We've had a fun in front of me.
Where'd Dana go?
Right, out of 3, 1, 2, 3.
Okay. We can actually hold the same side and.
Just rotate the principals.
Yes,
Rotate the principals.
I'm sorry.
And who is this next one?
Jacksonville. You are in the middle.
All right, I'll count 3, 1, 2, 3. I got it.
Okay, now we have.
One and done. Somebody blink.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Come on.
Hey.
No chatter, no.
Now that you have those 2, you are now a district.
gotta come back up for the picture, right? It's just a district.
All right, count three. 1, 2, 3. Got it.
Now, this one is for the district. Thank you much. Appreciate you. Thank you. And now we are handing it over.
So again,
Oh,
check, check.
just be loud.
All right, so hopefully everybody can hear me.
You should see that one's use regular.
It's better to be heard than seen, so I don't want to be on video. Terry pretty much hit on the high points. I know the board and some of the administrators have heard me say this, but again, we really deeply appreciate it, really proud of not just the achievement of the school, but now the achievement of the district. It's really remarkable. And like I said, I feel like I'm at home. So again, from my family and from all the military members and their families, deeply thank you for the bottom line. Appreciate you all.
So in addition to that, I wanted to notify you, we did have a vaccination clinic the week before, the Friday before Thanksgiving. Over approximately 99 staff members and scholars were vaccinated, including flu shots. So we were pleased with that. We will offer the second dose this Friday at Lester Elementary, December 10th.
Booster?
Including the booster.
I got my booster.
When is it?
And from 4:30 to 7 at Lester Elementary for the second dose, but they're also going to give the first dose for anyone who would like that, as well as the booster as well. So if you would like to volunteer, we need volunteers too. So.
Okay.
And that's Lester Elementary. Additionally, we want to recognize Mr. Ron McDaniel. He's going to be recognized this Thursday at the ASBA luncheon for his number of hours, having an extraordinary number of hours, 50 hours.
That must be a mistake. That's talking about Jim Moore.
And so we'll confirm it, but it was a letter with your name.
That's lifetime. Lifetime.
Oh, it's lifetime.
Not just
Okay.
for 1 year.
Right. Total for over the span
Oh, okay.
of your.
That makes sense.
20 years, so.
In addition to that, we're going to, so congratulations, Mr. McDaniel. We want to request a board work session for January to discuss the salary schedule revisions. So we want to put that on your radar for dates.
When is our January meeting?
You all will
January 3rd.
decide that too, if we want to keep it on January 3rd, since
When's the first day of school?
the students return on the 5th, but the faculty and staff will return on the 3rd. But students return on the 5th.
What say ye? Third? Third is fine. All right. All right, so when do we want to do the workshop? Can we not do it on the 3rd?
We can do it before or after.
Meetings
We
haven't been
shouldn't
running
have a
too
lot to
long.
talk about on the third,
So-
right?
No. And even with the workshop, with the work session, you all, just so you'll know, we've been meeting with our licensed and classified PBC representatives, and so they've been able to give feedback on the salary schedule. So we will present the work that has come out of those work sessions to you all for your review, and then acceptance or next steps, and then that, whatever comes out of that after approval, will take in effect July 1st for next year.
It's the same time. Just do it right after.
Okay.
I'm good. We're good. We're running it. Let's do that.
And then, after that, we wanted to give you all the opportunity to share, your comments about chapter 2 and chapter 3, Fearless Schools. We have completed, the book study as a district, so we have to catch our board members up. Chapter 2 talks about building trust, and as we move the district forward, we believe that even from our school board members, to our district staff, school staff, departments, that we have to build a culture of trust, and it takes a lot of work. One of the things that we pointed out was that building trust, we learned, is not about rhetoric or posters. So we can't just post it, but it's about the daily action, habits, and decisions that leaders make. And so we wanted to make sure that we gave you all the opportunity to share about chapters 2 and 3 as well. So, not to put anyone on the spot, but
Who wants to
Mr.
go
Moore
first?
has done his homework.
I defer to Jim Moore. I had mine, Dr. Walker, canceled me.
It's your opportunity to.
I know. Looking at chapter 2, and of course, the building trust, it is difficult, even under the best circumstances. And probably some of the times they recommend, I believe, is like maybe perhaps a coffee time, maybe break time. Face-to-face meetings are very important in building trust. Social gatherings, another one. We have a few board members that like social gathering too, so those things, but you also have to build and maintain this trust, and that's challenging because it needs to be interpersonal and there needs to be a connection there. And the other problem that we have here, or most school districts do, I guess you could say, and most businesses, you may be located in another building, and it's kind of hard to build a trust with other teachers or other classified people, like in the cafeteria. And so it's very hard, but it can be done. We have buildings scattered all over the city. Some school districts are lucky, they've got all their buildings on the same property. So it's not too bad of a problem. So that's two key points for chapter 2.
I was gonna say that same thing. One thing I was gonna say about, when I was reading in the building trust, is just consistency. Us just being consistent and being transparent with, our, teachers and with our community. And I think that's one thing that we are doing a really good job about. Chisa does a good job of putting everything out on social media so people are aware. We have some available on several platforms for us to be transparent. So I think that's one thing that we have that's going for us to help build that trusting relationship. And we are building a sense of community amongst us and, in our families.
Anybody else?
And then chapter 3 talks about maintaining that trust, and it talks about promises made, promises kept. One of the most robust research findings in the field of leadership trust is the impact of credibility. When it is established, it is an organization's most valuable asset. Leaders will be forgiven for errors and analysis, communication, and political judgment as long as they maintain their credibility with stakeholders. But no matter how skillful they are in data analysis, communication, and political judgment, those attributes are irrelevant if the leaders lack credibility. And so we talk about that at the district level, how important it is if we tell our parents, if we tell our scholars, if we tell our community that we're going to do something, not only do we do it in a timely manner, and because we owe that to them. And the only reasons why we have the jobs that we have is because of our scholars. And so they have that expectation of me, and I have that expectation of them. And so that's chapter 3, if you all would like to share.
Well, yeah, maintaining trust is definitely harder than gaining trust or building trust. Maintaining it's hard. One thing that stood out to me was, we have to be willing to listen and not try to fix the problem when we hear it. We just have to listen and no advice, no judgment, no interruption. That's hard for me sometimes, for sure. Especially with this Jim.
Mine, okay. Chapter 3, talking about how leaders build trust. And I use this quite a bit in my previous life when I had people working for me or around me. And I think leaders need to build it by recognizing excellence. In other words, I think a warm fuzzy is better than a cold prickly. And there's too much cold pricklies going around in our society today.
Would you like to explain what a code? I'm sorry. I'm messing with you.
Oh, but you see how we are together here. But recognition is not always in the form of bonuses or promotions. But it can come in with feedback that is accurate, sincere, and immediate. Very important. And I think one of the things, how do you maintain trust? And I think Daniel touched on this a little bit, what he said, but trust is the impact of credibility. If there's no trust, then you don't have credibility. So that's what I learned from chapter 2 and 3.
Any other thoughts, comments? All right. So which chapter will be covering in January?
Chapter 4 and 5.
4 and 5. Okay.
And the last thing before we get to our annual report, I just wanted to share the finished commercial with you all and recognize Mrs. Chisa Williams. I work her a lot, and I told her we needed to really rebrand the school district, and not really rebrand it, but show the facilities that our community has invested in. And so you will know if you drive around that we have billboards up. I think they went up today. And then we are, you will see this commercial on a local channel as well. So
Digital billboards or the
permanent billboard. Sorry, I thought I did.
August of 2018, we opened the campus of Bobby G. Lester Elementary School. In August of 2019, the state-of-the-art campus of Jacksonville High School opened for all scholars. And then in August 2021, we opened the new Jacksonville Middle School. In January 2022, we opened the new Jacksonville Elementary School. We're building futures every scholar, every day, one building at a time.
I'd just like to say what a great job Mrs. Chisa Williams does.
Yeah.
That concludes.
That was your recognition.
Hey, David Attenborough is getting in trouble. Like he's somebody else in the future.
It's a warm fuzzy.
Warm fuzzy. All right, and that concludes the superintendent's report. If I can move to the annual report.
Yes.
And again,
I think on behalf of the board, we appreciate Chisa taking care of this also. It's been magnificent. I think a lot of the people in the city have recognized this, and that's why we have a lot of trust from them. I very seldom get any calls about any benefit at all. And it's because of our publicity. Very important.
and then she takes on things that we all agree that she should really take care of, but she does it with a smile, including this annual report. So definitely. Oh yeah, her son is, and he's in the commercial too. I don't know if you see. All right, this is the annual report.
The 2020-2021 academic school year proved to be an unprecedented one in education, with coronavirus once again taking center stage. JNPSD faculty and scholars continued taking the necessary steps to stop the spread of the virus by wearing face masks, by social distancing, and by keeping classrooms and school buildings clean and sanitized. Adding to that layer of protection, COVID-19 vaccines were made available in Arkansas to all teachers, school staff, and child care workers in the spring of 2021. Despite adversities stemming from the pandemic, the Jacksonville North Pulaski School District achieved remarkable success. In our annual report to the public, we share stories and information that highlight some of the many accomplishments of our Titan scholars and staff. So let's get started. Jacksonville High School received the 5 of 5 award for its Jobs for Arkansas Graduates program. JAG helps at-risk scholars graduate from high school and make successful transitions to post-secondary education or meaningful employment. Warren Dupree's Heather Williams got quite the surprise when she was named Assistant Principal of the Year by the Arkansas Association of Educational Administrators. Air Force Junior ROTC cadets demonstrated diligence and initiative during the worldwide pandemic, and for that, they received the Air Force Junior ROTC Resiliency COVID-19 Award. These elementary scholars know how to have good old-fashioned fun while burning off some energy. Students in grades K through 5 competed in the first ever Gilmore Games at Lester Elementary. The project spearheaded by ALE teacher and coach Rodney Gilmore. Pinewood scholars do not mind calling the Hogs, especially for one of their own. Razorback star and Jacksonville alum Devontae Davis had everyone talking about his game-winning shot back in the spring in the Arkansas Razorback game. So, of course, local television crews just had to visit Devo's old elementary school to talk with his former teachers and coaches. JNPSD is home to many outstanding student athletes. Look at the athletic signings from the 2020-21 school year. In football, 3-star defensive tackle Tyus Martin signed to the University of Colorado. Ryan Maxwell is still ahead of the game as a basketball standout at Nicholls State. Alicia Shaw proved she was a leader on and off the court by signing to play volleyball at Houston-Tolleson University. Andreas Bingham, you know him as Deuce, decided to continue his baseball career at Florida Southwestern State. In April of 2021, 5 JNP schools received Purple Star recognition. They included Jacksonville High School, Jacksonville Middle School, Bobby G. Lester Elementary, Merle Taylor Elementary, and Pinewood Elementary. A Purple Star school is a public or charter school that has committed to supporting the unique educational and social emotional needs of military-connected children. And now we are proud to announce for the first time that JNPSD is officially a Purple Star School District. There was a lot of building going on at JNPSD. Elementary scholars were building their vocabulary of the district-wide spelling bee. Construction crews continued building our 2 new schools, Jacksonville Middle School and Jacksonville Elementary. And district leaders continue building relationships with community organizations throughout Pulaski County. We are grateful for the support. Despite COVID restrictions, seniors were able to enjoy their last year of school with somewhat traditional events like prom, the senior parade, senior fun day, and of course, graduation. The class of 2021 became the first group of scholars to have its graduation ceremony at the beautiful Titan Stadium. More than 250 seniors walked on that football field that day, racking up more than $2.5 million in scholarships. The Arkansas Department of Education accredits all JNP schools. We have a student enrollment of a little more than 4,000. Our graduation rate is on an upward trend at 88%. We believe in the importance of equity, excellence, growth mindset, relationships, and positive cultures. We are committed to making improvements to support positive outcomes for scholars, staff members, and families. However, as we celebrate our wins, we must acknowledge our shortcomings. More work needs to be done raising student test scores and closing the student achievement gap. Motivating scholars and raising the level of expectations is a priority for administrators and educators alike. District leaders are confident these deficiencies can be resolved by implementing goals and executing a plan of action. You can find the board-approved district strategic plan on our website, www.jnpsd.org, located under state required information. We will continue to improve education with innovative programs, new technology, teacher training, and quality infrastructure. We are currently on track to have all new schools by the year 2026. The all-new Jacksonville Elementary School will open its doors in January, and plans are already in motion to build the last two schools, Amita Elementary and Merle Taylor Elementary. As we continue to move the district forward, we will hold steadfast to our vision of being a model school district where every learner is valued and empowered to become a successful, contributing member of society. It can be done with parents and teachers working together. Henry Ford said it best, coming together is the beginning, keeping together is progress, working together is success.
That concludes the reports.
All right. Great job, thank you. All right, next we got our consent agenda. Is there anything on the consent agenda that needs to be pulled down for discussion? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve as presented. So moved. Second. Any discussion, questions? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That passes unanimously. All right, next item, we've got the ASBA/NSBA vote coming up. Dr. Owen, you want to brief us on this?
Well, if Mr. Moore, in your packet, you will find the actual proposal and the action item regarding the ASBA vote that will take place this week on Wednesday. Of course, Mr. Jim Moore is is the delegate that represents our board, and in that action item, you will note that Dr. Proto, the executive director, is recommending a detachment from a national body because of the list of items that are provided for you. And so in order so that Mr. Moore will represent you all in his full capacity, we wanted to bring that to your attention and let you decide as a board on how to vote moving forward.
A couple of things that I can add to this. The ASBA, our association, is a member of the National School Board Association, and basically the vote Wednesday afternoon at 4 o'clock is to remove the ASBA, Arkansas, from the National School Board Association based on the recent situation. I've got a lot of information here that Dr. Protho and the ASBA put out. A lot of the other school districts around the country are not going to be members of the NSBA anymore. The letter they sent was kind of referring to the fact that parents don't have a choice for their children. School boards, they were worried about school boards and teachers and staff being injured, if you will, by the criminals. But what really set it off was the NSBA board members, like our board here, like the ASBA board members, they knew nothing about the letter that was sent to President Biden, nothing at all, requesting that the FBI and any governmental law enforcement agency would go to all the districts in the United States and evaluate their security and other things. And try to find out, I guess what they basically were saying that they were classifying some of the parents as domestic terrorists because of some of the things that's happened around the mask mandate. And that's what drove this whole thing, the mask mandate in school districts. So
What is the recommendation of Dr. Protho?
Dr. Protho, what they're planning on doing, depends on how we vote Wednesday afternoon at 4 o'clock. We are going to, or they are going to take the SBA out of the NSBA organization. It costs a lot of money to belong to that organization, and then you have a executive director of that organization, NSBA, and the president, I guess they are, who made a decision to do something without the permission of the NSBA board. And of course, the NSBA board is spread all over the United States, in all the states. So the recommendation for Dr. Protho is that they want permission to take us out of the NSBA.
Okay.
As far as I'm concerned, I am for it because we don't need an organization to contact Washington DC to tell us what we're going to do here in Jacksonville as far as security goes. And I think we're probably, and this all was driven about what happened in Michigan, where the school was shot at. So that's my standing. That's the way I'm going.
Okay.
If you give me that permission.
I don't have a problem. I support Dr. Protho's recommendation.
Yeah.
So, sounds good to me. You good with that?
Motion for that, or just?
I think you just want.
I just need to know.
Make sure we weren't adamantly opposed to that. Right?
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right, good deal. Next, we've got a proposal to purchase 2 new school buses.
The proposal actually is for 4 buses, so, but if you, turn to page 49 for the action item, we're proposing, the purchase of 2 48-passenger special need buses and 2 71-passenger propane buses. The cost, as you will see, for the 2 48-passenger buses total $250,000 that we would fund through our extra funds, and then the 2 71-passenger propane buses total $210,000 initially. We will cover it through operating, but then as you will see, once we're awarded the grant will cover 70% of the purchase propane buses. And then of course, we would cover the rest through ESSER funds. So the funding sources will only be ESSER funds and the grant that we received for that. And as you know, Mr. Higginbotham has received a previous grant for the propane bus that we have currently. So these costs will not come out of operating funds. So the recommendation that I have before you is to approve the purchase of the 2 48-passenger buses as well as the 2 71-passenger buses.
All right. Any questions? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion. Second.
All right, motion to approve the recommendation. And a second. Any discussion?
Let me say something right quick.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate the fact what Mr. Higginbotham has done here. Last time we purchased a bus, we didn't have this in-depth detail about what the buses were like, what was on the buses, what kind of engine and all that. Very important when you're buying something. And I appreciate that. That's a warm fuzzy for Mr. Higginbotham.
Warm fuzz is all about it.
Warm fuzzy.
No prickly?
I love those. We did receive the $68,000 back from the first propane truck approved last year, so it has been
Good.
All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. Very good.
Question about warm buses. All those buses out in that vacant lot that we own, are those for sale or are we going to?
He's working on the, some of them will be salvage, and some of them will be, are we auctioning?
we're gonna go through try to go through the auction process. In the past, we have, did it for scrap.
Yeah.
You just don't get
Right.
anything out of that, so our proposal is to move forward, is to go through the auction.
Okay.
All right, legal transfers. I got 2 legal transfers tonight.
Yes, sir. Before you are 2 requests, one from our district to North Little Rock, and then one from our district to Little Rock. Of course, with the new forms, parents do not have to give a reason for the request. And as stated previously, my recommendation is to deny both transfer requests since we're in the middle of the academic school year.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion, questions?
Did we change the form where they don't need to fill out a reason?
No, this is a state form that we received from this DESE, Arkansas Public Education.
It's different from the previous forms?
Yes, they removed the request or the request for explanation of the reason why they're requesting it. So they removed that slot from the application.
But they have the option to provide that if they want to?
They could if they want to, if they would like to, in addition to the actual form.
Is this form from our district? Or is this that was on the old?
That was on the old, yes. So the new one, and that's a great example, as you will see on page 99, this parent had the old form, and the first parent had the new form. Request number 1, parent had the new form.
All right, so we've got a motion and a second to approve the superintendent's recommendation to deny the legal transfer request. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay? All right, that passes. Next item we've got is personnel.
Motion to go into executive session.
All right, any discussion on personnel will be held in executive session, so we will
Is
move.
that both of them?
Yeah, it's,
Oh, well, I was in that. Sorry. That's okay.
it's still,
It's okay. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought we were doing
I thought we
it
didn't
individually.
separate period.
huh?
We don't do it separate?
No, we didn't, they were. All right, so we're moving in executive session to discuss personnel. We will be back momentarily.
Quickly.
If y'all want a cookie, please help yourselves. Whoever's on. Seriously, Bobby, if you want a cookie, come get it. They're right here.
What you got?
Just don't take my salad.
Did you make them?
Yeah, of course. If they're good, I didn't make them. I mean, if they're bad, I didn't make them.
No,
I've already had them. I'm good. They're good, yeah.
I know, I forgot to change the action items. That's why I don't know when the thing was coming out.
Oh, yeah. Yes. It was good. Very good. They come up when we get more buses, bus proposals. My computer touch screen. you know? No, I just didn't know if you had. Get down for chocolate.
Whatever it was wireless.
I just lost about 3 years. Most of us here, we won't go all the way. We have a meeting. Parties, Parsons Day, SAU, well, Southern School Trade. All colleges, except for this, this is new, her parents can do this. Especially now that most of them are, which is awesome. I mean, that's just. My parents are watching. I'm looking forward to possibly getting a TV put in my alcohol. The other administrators. I can't get a book. Just stop calling. I don't know what that's what it is. I'm not irritated. Your younger brother you never had. Did your brother put together the, All right, got her English. She did. And I talked to her. That's the tech is there at the school, that provides the teacher. And then, so she doesn't have to take her. So she's a sophomore. After this semester, she won't have GOV hours. She's already taken, she was supposed to start her internships. And then she started taking she's so excited, she's going to put down. Speaking back to the kids, she just, so I hope she stays with speech practice at all the ends. If she wants to be working in school, district, you can also volunteer for kids side or whatever you choose to be something. She's not going to live with you. She's going to get along with you. Well, she's going to get along with you. But actually, Starting next year, on next year, we have really happy. If you were talking, you were talking, lower. I do, it was a dream. No matter what it is. Comes back, next week. This will be Kettletown. But he's, girlfriend is had for a year. He's been away for, in Wisconsin. Since July. She went up there initially and came home for a wedding. And, so she got to see mother said that it should be probably he's home and seeing her all the time. And he missed her, didn't. He's gonna live with them for about 6 months. Figure out. He's gonna be, he's gonna work for training in Little Rock. He's gonna try to figure out where he needs to live. Not be able to pay you to travel. We're just trying find something in Little Rock, share with because you go 5 minutes in Little Rock from that direction over there, from County Q. I do not miss have done Little Rock. I did for 11 years. I got to where I had a 5-minute window that I came out there at Mill Fields. I had to cross 4 lanes, but I got to where I get there. 6:30, 6:35. It's amazing how 5 minutes makes a difference. Patterns in the work. Okay. Oh, obviously. I'm looking at the environment. You may data. What you say?
I said, okay. No, just say, oh, yeah. Yes. I was gonna take over. I'll be it.
Directors meeting, I'll head over there after it.
District leadership team is just on chapter 5. Chapter 5.
I'm proud of my new executive. And my girls. every one of them, no, every one of them. Carrie's government was clips from, looking at Carter. They were good too. Change. It's messy, that's why I had to do it. In the office. A goodie bag. Thank you. And every. They do what they call it journeys. As we So then I was starting to make more time and out. So that's
We got a class question. So, you. He's over there. Quiet. It's different, the thing is, that he tells me is that they have a little organization or little.
Just as high risk as a.
Which is pretty close. If it's not viable. So, he said, he said, there's only two mentions of two birthdays. Both of them fall apart. And he said, that's like, so birthdays. It is, yeah, it is. So weird. This is work. He said, no, he's on the, 26. First half is. This is all certain cars and stuff. He's like, what I did there, so. Totally makes sense. So there's that, yeah. Things. It's pretty interesting. So I can't, so I just over with all of this. Because I have it, she, super, and she just, so sometimes we can just talk about stuff. It's so funny that all got along with each other, they all respect each other. Okay. She's bullshit. She went to Southwest.
But the individual with the director that's. I would really
All right, we're back in regular session. Call the meeting back to order as we all take our seats. So the next item on our agenda is personnel. We have a recommendation. Dr. Owen.
Yes, the administration recommends approval of personnel report.
All right,
So moved.
do I hear a second?
Second.
We got a motion and a second to approve the superintendent's recommendation for the personnel report as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Next, we've got student disciplinary actions. Do we have uncontested? One or just one uncontested tonight?
Mrs. Logan is passing that. Your review.
Bless you.
All right, do I hear a recommendation, or a motion, excuse me? Got a recommendation?
Make a motion to approve the superintendent's recommendation.
Second.
All right. Motion and a second. Sorry. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? That passes unanimous. All right, that's all for student disciplinary actions. All right, next item, Ron McDaniel.
Hey, motion to adjourn?
We are adjourned.
Right there.
Can you still hand me the student disciplinary?
Just a minute.
Thanks, sir.